Hi, teacher Amanda here, and I just wanted to do kind of a short video to talk about burnout, which is common, I think, for many jobs, but I know that a lot of teachers go through this with VIPKid. I think the combination of how we make our schedule a few weeks out, and cancellations are few and far between if you want to keep your contract, right? And it's just easy for me, at least, to think I'm capable of more than I am sometimes. And so just lately I've been dealing with some serious burnout, and maybe just across the board, but especially with VIPKid, just being exhausted and really having to slow down a little bit and trying to be okay with that, because I got really sick. I don't know exactly what it was, but I'm still now a month later kind of fighting it off mildly. And so there were some really hard weeks there, waking up at 5 a.m. and trying to talk when I didn't feel like I had the energy or the ability to. And then I have other things in my life, like all of us teachers do, so I would go from teaching, a few hours in the morning to then going and teaching fitness classes, and then trying to take care of my kids and do just, all the different roles, which I know looks different for each of us, but it was really a rough couple of weeks. And so that kind of just made me sit back and evaluate what kind of schedule do I really want, because I think it's easy to get in marathon mode and really gear up and want to reach these goals, which can be great, but it's also important to figure out what sort of baseline is best for each of us as teachers. It looks different for each person because I think each of us has a unique level of margin in our lives, depending on what other things you have going on. Some of us are, brick and mortar teachers. You do this before you go to your regular job. Some of us are stay-at-home parents. Some of us have completely different jobs, way different than teaching or parenthood and all this. So I know it can look different for everyone. But basically, since we're coming up on, changing our clocks and everything, I know a lot of us have been getting priority booking requests from our students for different times that maybe we can't work. For me, I have a lot of students that have been now asking, so if I had a 7:30 class, now they're priority booking for the same time for them, right? Because they don't change their time like we do. So now I'm getting all these priority booking requests for 8:30 or 8 o'clock, which doesn't work because I have to get my kid ready for school. So it's a good time, as we're coming up to the time change and getting requests that you may not be able to work, it's a good time to evaluate what schedule you want to have, what kind of schedule is optimal for you, and reassure yourselves, all of ourselves, that it's okay to kind of stick to your guns a little bit. It's okay to deny requests. I don't recommend working times that are not convenient for you or that don't work well for you, because typically the student will keep wanting to priority book that same time slot. So don't feel like you have to bend over backwards to make certain times work if they really don't work for you. I know obviously with some regulars that can be really tough because you want to accommodate. And if you can make it work, that's one thing. But for me, I literally have to leave my house around 8:30, so I can't take an 8:30 a.m. time slot. Just not feasible. So that's what I'm currently doing, is kind of sitting back, looking at what I want to work, what changes do I want to make, knowing that my kids' sleep schedule and all of these things are going to be a little different with changing the clocks. So yeah, I'd love to know what your optimal schedule looks like and what strategies you've used, if this is something that you've dealt with before. But just know that if there's anyone out there who's like me, there are certain people in these groups, VIPKid Facebook groups, who are rocking a killer schedule. They can do all-nighters and work in the evening, work from 3 until 9 a.m. and crazy schedule in my mind, and go work a second job and be present for their children. But I can honestly say that is not feasible for me. And so don't get caught in that comparison trap of feeling like you need to take on a certain amount to be successful. The great thing about VIPKid, and the reason why I love it, is that you don't have a minimum amount of hours you have to work. If you want to take a month off, do it. If you want to work just 5 classes a week, do it. Like you have the right and the privilege with this job to make it your own. It's your classroom that you're offering to those students. And so you can easily say when you're refusing a priority booking request, my classroom is open from this time to this time, and just let them know and stick to your guns so that you don't get stuck in a place where you're unhappy or where you're wearing yourself down. And don't feel like success looks this way as a VIPKid teacher. Each of us have a different optimal schedule, and success looks different for each of us, right? So these are things I've been grappling with, and I think other people out there maybe need that same message or that reassurance that it's absolutely okay to say no to parents and to carve out the schedule that works well for you, your family, you and your spouse. I know one of the biggest struggles for me a lot of times is just when it gets to those evenings. A lot of times I am spent. If I've been doing too much VIPKid stuff, by the time it hits like 8 p.m., and my kids are going to bed, I'm like out, right? And there's not much time left for me to have some evening with my husband and talk with him and have conversation. So it's important to have energy for those other things, for those other roles in your day. So if you're facing burnout as well, I just wanted to make that recommendation as we come up to daylight savings, to be clear with parents on what of the students you teach, on what you're able to make work, and feel free to carve out the schedule that's best for you. I know as I mentor applicants through the hiring process, I do recommend when you're starting out to cast a wide net. If you're able to do some late night slots or open up all your peak times, like that's ideal, because you want to kind of get attention. When you're first starting out, it's almost like you're a new Etsy seller or something. You don't have a reputation yet. So people are looking at you, potential students, potential parents are looking at you, and they don't know what kind of teacher you're gonna be. There's no reviews yet. So when you're a new teacher, it's good to make a really wide net and open up as many slots as you can to get attention, get some of those first bookings trickling in so that you can develop a reputation. You can get those 5 Apple reviews, and then parents can say, oh, sweet, a 5 Apple teacher, right? But I don't recommend keeping that schedule forever. I don't recommend always working crazy hours, opening up all-nighters, and because I just think burnout is so common, and it can be prevented if we think through what sort of balance we want to strike. And this job is like strangely addictive. It's very easy to look at times and like, oh, okay, I'll just get up an hour earlier. I'll just do this, on this day and this day. But then the reality of that can be hard sometimes. As much as working from home is amazing and is a privilege, and I'm thrilled to do it, there are also challenges to that. I think a lot of us have had those days where our kids wake up extra early and throw off our VIPKid work schedule, or there are unique challenges to it as well, right? So, and you have so much flexibility with choice on what you want to do, and that is a blessing, but also a challenge, because you might look at other examples and feel like you need to mold yourself to that, and you don't. Please, please, please make VIPKid your own and what is best for you. I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to say. I know I kind of have gone off on like 10 different tangents. Oh, I was just gonna say that, yes, everyone does this differently. Some people work short notice only. If I was pregnant and I was coming up on maternity leave, I would completely not make any time slots open unless it was like within 24 hours, unless I knew, hey, tomorrow I think I can do it, and then I would open up my time slots that morning. So short notice only is a great strategy if you're wanting to earn a higher income, because it does pay more, that $2 bonus, or if you're just unsure about what your weeks are gonna look like, 2 weeks out and everything. It's totally fine to move towards a short notice only strategy, or you can do a little bit of both. Teach your regulars on some days and then save days for short notice only. I think one schedule I heard laid out, which I think is a great example, is working like Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and then keeping Wednesday and Saturday as like short notice only days. So if you need just a day off midweek, you've got your Wednesday open. If you want to open short notice slots, you can do that too. But leaving a little bit of flexibility like that is great and really can prevent a teacher from getting completely burnt out. But then others, like myself, I haven't done a ton of short notice because I do love my regulars and I enjoy that dynamic and being able to build that rapport continually with them. And then of course the challenge is having to say no to them at times. But I like the stability, and I also do better with less classes. I enjoy my job more when I'm teaching a few less hours. I feel like I can give a little bit more quality and a little bit more energy to the job, right? And taking days off to be with my family and have rest are also really important. Like carving out slots that are just not a work day, like that I know I can depend on. So just some advice, not that I'm the most experienced of all the teachers you will come into contact with, but I'm coming up towards my 4th contract and just kind of thinking and evaluating these things and wanted to share with you. So if you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out. My contact information is below. Thanks for watching. Happy teaching.